Hello, hello, hello. We are back another week, another Project Woman with myself, Abby Adams, and the gorgeous Faye Reid. I really wish that we had filmed and gone live before Faye just came bowling in like a bundle of amazing energy post gym, Gel on, hair brushed, makeup done, shower. Um, Faye, I've just got to sort Autumn and I'll be back. Faye, take
All
over.
right.
Tell the world how you are.
Hey guys. So I'm Faye Reid, founder of 95 Menopause. And I am so glad you did not see me as of 2 seconds ago. Because I literally was half getting dressed, combing my hair, and putting moisturizer on my face. I've literally just come back from the gym. And I did debate, should I just talk? Because it's all about the talking, really, not about the visuals. But I look like shit. So I thought, yes, I'll have a shower and sort myself out. Happy Friday, everybody. So I think this is mine and Abby's last chat before we break for Christmas. And then we're back in the new year. And I know we've got some exciting things planned for the new year that we want to invite you all to, which Abby will give more detail. And it will also be on Project Woman Instagram. So look out for that. But yeah, I know we've got a few things to talk about today, which Abby will give you a bit more context on. So I shall pass it over to her. Now she's seamlessly just joined.
I'm back. There are days, and I always look at this from my menstrual cycle. There are days when I can tolerate being screamed at and shouted at and have snot thrown at me. And I'm like, give it to me. I love you, children. And then there are days when I get screamed at and I just think, I'm resigning.
I think
That
you'll find this isn't a job you can resign from. Okay, just putting it out there.
I know, but it makes me feel better when I think that I am going to resign. So it's like, yeah, how would you not survive? But anyway, hello, gorgeous people. I'm back in the room. I want to kick off with the wonderful Pregnant and Screwed. They've just got childcare agreed as an infrastructure with the government. And I just want to read the Pregnant and Screwed post on Instagram. We did it. Thanks to 10,000 of you emailing your MP, the government has formally accepted that childcare is infrastructure, like roads and hospitals and railways. This means that councils can use levy funds to ensure there is enough childcare provision when new developments are being considered. I watched in awe yesterday as Stella Creasy debated her socks off in the Commons to get this over the line. And thanks to your support, MPs from across the House defended the amendment. What an absolute force we are together. Merry Christmas. I was part of that, sending off the email, and it just felt really, really great. Now I know Faye's got another perspective on this, so I'm going to hand over to Faye. Go on, Faye.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, it'd be interesting to find out they've passed this. Is it now law, or is it got to go through a few more stages? Because from looking at it from the other side, as a woman with no children, the one thing I've always found in the workplace is that women who have children are always supported. Pregnant women are always supported rather, and it's the women with no children that always end up picking up the slack. And especially now, the one thing that will cover all women, the menopause, is still, it feels like it's dragging its feet. And I think it's great because you should be supportive, people with children and childcare and such forth. But council levies that will support that. But what if the councils have got no money? Some councils have gone bankrupt. Like, so what does that mean? It's a good thing, and I don't want to put a downer on it and make it negative,
You
but
are.
it's
I don't think you're putting it down on it at all, mate. I think that you are just opening up another possibility, aren't you? I mean, yeah, what happens because when someone is pregnant and they take time off, you're right, who picks up the slack? So it's looking at all angles, isn't it? But I feel as well that when you open one area of possibility, other areas then get looked at. And when you're looking at menopause and you're bringing up the fact that we still don't seem to have got any
no.
further, then I look at really the bodies that are driving this conversation, because at the moment there are really great initiatives out there, but it's still what you would consider the celebrities that are carrying this. I don't mean that rudely, but Pregnant and then Screwed, if you look at who has contributed and what they are actually doing, it's a really great collective of women to be part of. You know, they are very on it. I don't know if anyone saw the March of the Mummies. You know, they are constantly on it, connecting with these people. So, you know, something that I learned over the 41 years of being on this planet is, who are you talking to and how are you talking? You know, this is what makes a difference, doesn't it? So, yeah, we would love to hear your views. Please let us know what you feel about that. Because again, you know, there's so many perspectives in regards to this topic.
Yeah.
But today we are on divorce. We are talking about divorce. And Faye brought this up. And I was like, we've got to speak about this, because this is a really interesting topic of conversation. And how does this impact a woman, her health and her life? So I reached out to a friend of mine, the wonderful Helen Dallimore, who I met through Pregnant and Screwed, and a very good friend of hers who is a lawyer sent through some articles. The first one was the divorce gap. Women see income fall by 33% following divorce. Now, there is a comparison to men, but like I said on Instagram, I don't want this to be about who is suffering more. That's not why we're here. We just want to see what the impact is. And so when now she's got to find the tab. So, divorce gap. Women are likely to see their household income fall by a third in the year following their divorce, according to research from Legal & General. The research comes ahead of Divorce Day. Divorce Day? Are we being serious?
Divorce Day? What's that? Is that like
It's like Menopause Day. We got a Divorce Day on Monday, the 4th of January. So I don't mean to mock. I just find this very curious that we've got so many days for so many things when they happen on every single day of the year. Anyway, that's another conversation. So women see their annual income fall by almost twice as much as men following divorce. Sorry, I shouldn't have brought it up. Women are significantly more likely to waive rights to a partner's pension as part of a divorce. Women are more likely to face financial struggle post-divorce and worry about the impact on their retirement. Office of National Statistics data shows, on average, women already have a significantly smaller pension pot than men. Now, I'm going to share a close family's experience that happened years ago when she divorced her husband, and he took all of her pension. He just took it all. She had nothing. She had no pension. He managed.
And he was happy to take it all. He was happy to walk away.
He took everything
from a relationship that he'd had for X amount of years, and leave that woman with nothing.
Yeah,
it's okay. There's so much to this, because I'm very much of the belief that long-term relationship, marriage and stuff, if you decide that you're not happy with the person you're with, sort that out, be respectful, then move on. And I'm not saying this is all men, and some women do this as well, but they do things behind their partner's back. And then when it all falls apart and divorce does come into play, they go for the jugular and they become really mean-spirited, and even worse, which I find I just find it disgusting when there's kids involved. So they will penalise that ex-partner, wife, and realising, or maybe even not realising, or not even care, the knock-on effect it has for the child. So when relationships break down, it's hard enough as it is. But I think when relationships break down because the other person has had an affair or played away or just whatever, the esteem it breaks down in that person, the woman, is you don't realize how much a person has to rebuild themselves from that. To think they're not worthy, their husband's coming home to them, and then they go and but they're having an affair. That's a kicker. That's an absolute kicker. And then on top of that, to be a complete shit and potentially take money away from them and their children, I can't work it out. I'm like, my brain can't equate it, because I'm all about respect. Even if I don't want to be with that person, even if I don't like somebody, there's no reason to go for the jugular and clean them out, or potentially make them lesser than they were before. I'm like, go
on. So this is like from working class. I've been through a divorce which was between my mum and my dad, and that wasn't very pretty. And I'd be really interested to see the differences in what we call classes, because not all, but a lot of people that I know, it weren't pleasant, it weren't nice. It became all about the money. Money became a really like sticky,
contentious.
Very contentious. And I just wonder, like, the differences there, and whether there is a difference between which class of women suffer more. Because, you know, in the words of my mum, she just walked away with nothing because she just wanted it to be finished.
Yeah, wanted out.
She just wanted out.
Interesting. You do hear about the cases of people who have divorced multimillionaires, and they've had to go and take them to court because the said partners tried to hide all the money or say, no, I've got no money. And they've tried to take them for court to get some kind of money from them. And also there's the women that, look, so many women these days have to go to work. That's just how it is, even when you're married. So, but you're a stay-at-home mum. You're bringing up the kids. You're supporting your husband. You're making sure the home is clean. You have dinners, all the rest of it. So that's your part of the relationship. And for somebody to walk away and not recognize what that woman has contributed to that man's success and go, no, she never did anything, she didn't have a job, is like, well, actually, she did. Her job as such, and people look at this in many different ways, is supporting that man. We were a partnership. We had children. I looked after the children. I took the kids to school. I did all this. I did all that, because you didn't have to worry about that. You could go and concentrate on your career. And as such, we had that life. So there's so many different aspects to it and how people view it. Because some people go, well, she didn't have a job. What did she contribute to the relationship? Well, actually, she contributed being his backbone and his support and making sure everything was okay. And people kind of lose sight of that and forget that's actually helped to shape him, how he is, and be successful in the job that he's doing. So
yeah,
money is, God, they say money is the root to all evil. Quite frankly, I would like a few million, but hey, there we go.
You carry on, Phil, I'll be right back.
So I do think that sometimes we have to look at the bigger picture, because very often people just concentrate on one snippet. And I do believe once you join forces with someone, you are now a partnership, you are now a team. And if that team breaks up, it should be an equal divide. That's how I see it.
It's just such an open conversation, because it all depends on why the divorce comes about, and especially if there's an affair in there. Do you know what I mean? It's just blown open. But let me come back to what else have we got going on here. There are many reasons driving this disparity. One being that women are typically paid less, whilst men who divorce are far more likely to have been the primary breadwinner in the relationship. This is why women will feel a greater degree of financial burden if transitioning to single income households. There was another study done in America, and they've noted here. So all of these articles that I'm speaking from, I will put the links in the comments below so you can have a look at these yourself. But they really go into detail, like the research papers that it's come from, they really go into detail. And what we've got here, I mean, in America, such women have oftentimes been seen to be afflicted by high rates of depression, substance abuse, and anxiety when compared with their counterparts. I mean, here it says in America, divorced women and children records the highest rates of poverty in the United States when compared with other demographic populations. What is more, divorced women have been shown to suffer the most, more than their male counterparts, in as far as self-esteem and interpersonal relationships are concerned. This acts to further compound the experiences of such divorced women and their capability to rebound from these kinds of stresses. I mean, obviously, let's be honest, if you ain't got the money, it's a lot harder to rebound from anything, isn't it? And when you look at the support care that they've got in America, I mean,
it's really hard because I've worked for companies which have American offices, and like you speak to some girls who are women who are pregnant and just say, oh, like, I'm going on maternity leave, but I'll be back next month. And I was like, what? The first time I found out that, I was so shocked. There's no maternity over there unless you've got cash. Women are back at work like a month after having their children. And like, you're going through a breakup, you've got kids. It's a lot. But I think it's I always try and think of who will be affected the most. Women will be affected the most, but this has a very lasting impact on children as well. It has a lasting impact on how they view relationships, how they view life, and especially if they've got an okay life way of living, and then suddenly they're plunged into poverty. The knock-on effect for a woman trying to juggle that, trying to build their self-esteem, you can't really put it into words.
So again, here they've got this research paper have demonstrated that divorced women and children. I said that, and hang on. What was the bit that I just saw? Furthermore, a divorced woman may find it harder to rise through the ranks in the workplace, in part due to the stigma that is often attached to her status. I mean, it sounds like you're in the Dickensian era, don't you? What of that would create an issue if her CV and her resume is glowing? I mean, why would divorce create a difference?
It's funny how people kind of view these things like, well, she's divorced, so she's lesser than. So she doesn't earn that much money, so she's lesser than. It's actually quite mind-blowing. And it's funny, I was having a conversation with somebody about, and this is slightly off topic, just how much kind of turmoil the UK's got it and the US has got it with the right-wing press and stuff, and trying to instruct what a woman should do with her body when she's pregnant and all this kind of stuff. And in some respects, I feel like we're going back in time, having to fight for certain things and certain rights and people's views, like with racism and all this kind of stuff. And I do wonder, are we going through another kind of toxic backlash where it will become kind of guttery, but then at some point it's going to come good again? Because I don't remember a time in all my years, apart from when I was growing up, where it feels so negative against certain things and people's views, as you say, Victorian views of, oh, well, she's lesser than. Sorry, that's my front door. Just checking.
Don't worry, microwave's just gone off. Children talking. It's just life, isn't it, Faye? It's just life, rock and roll. I wonder if it's because the world is quite sick at the moment. You know, we're still carrying the impacts of COVID. We're now getting this information about how the vaccination there's been so many lies behind what's actually occurred with regards to cardiovascular disease and the covering up. I mean, this is another phenomenal fact that I find just unbelievable. Is it that, as well, the statistics said that women were suffering more with emotional, physical, every part of their health because of the strain put on them from COVID. And because of that, we are becoming a little bit more subservient. Do you know what I mean? I wonder, we are so now tired that we are just perhaps putting up with even more rubbish, and it's easier for those antagonistic conversations, conflicting, to start coming up again. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
Right, let me finish with this one. Just to get to the end of this. So, like I said, this is from research done in America. In general, what the research on stressors for divorced women in the United States appears to depict is a disturbing picture of legal, social, and financial problems that have over time become quite entrenched within the American culture.
What can I say to that?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting what you say about us being tired and just kind of going with it and slightly being controlled by some certain powers that be. When I hear women publicly so strongly bashing other women and agreeing that we should be dictated to around abortion and stuff, that scares me. Because I'm like, even if you don't agree with abortion, and that is your right to, you can't, I find it hard to understand how you can agree that man over there, and I'm just going to say it, it's normally a little old white man who hasn't got a fucking clue, excuse my swearing, is going to tell you what you can do with your body if you're raped. Is going to tell your 12-year-old daughter what to do if she's raped or abused. I don't understand that women are giving those people that control. And I think therein lies the problem a little bit, that how women are feeling, how we do, and how we're viewed, that other women are partaking of that.
Well, I suppose it's looking at what are we still leaning into as an institution, because what is a comfort zone, isn't it? And sometimes, even though you don't agree with it, we still lean into it. It's bizarre, isn't it?
It's messed up.
If anyone from America is listening to this, we would love to hear from you, to know,
Just get their views.
Yeah, I'd love to know your views. So please do get in touch with us or comment below. Let's have a look at, I've got another one here. Statistically, women call time on their marriages more than men. What's the big discrepancy, says the BBC. Apparently, in the US specifically, where no-fault divorce is legal, and I believe that's just coming now to England, isn't it? Some estimates put the figure at 70%. In the UK, On statistics show women petitioned for 62% of divorces in England and Wales in 2019. Across cultures and geographies, women who are economically able to take care of themselves are more likely to initiate divorce. She ain't putting up with that shit.
I was just about to say, the woman's going, hang this shit, I'm out.
Oh, this is quite fun. So this emotional intelligence almost also means women are more finely attuned to problems in relationship red flags, and their tendency to be the primary communicators and empathizers means they may also be the first to raise issues, perhaps ultimately resulting in separation or divorce. Women also tend to gain fewer emotional benefits from marriage, which could make single life seem more appealing, while married men experience multiple perks, including living longer and earning more money. Women don't usually benefit from their relationships in the same way.
Oh my God, that's amazing. But no, they're like, nah, you're right. Later.
So what we're saying, if you want to live longer and not age, have a divorce.
Yeah. Well, there's that thing, isn't it, around the menopause, that women get to a certain stage or age in their life.
Yeah. Just room, but carry on. We're building train tracks in the background. Go.
And the menopause makes them question their life, what they're doing. Is this a guided tour?
This is a guided tour. Welcome to another room of mine. Hello.
But it makes women question, like, who am I? What am I doing? What do I want? and they do look at their life partners. I've spoken to a good handful of women that have just gone, yeah, my relationship broke down around that time that my menopause symptoms started, because I think it does make them question stuff. Like, who am I? What am I doing? They have all these raft of emotions and symptoms, and they just look around and just go, actually, I'm not happy. Actually, I don't want this anymore. And they actually put it into action. And I find that quite interesting, because the menopause can be quite debilitating. So to actually deal with that as well, it's interesting that women take that on also and go, I don't want that, unless they see their relationship, marriage as a burden, and they're like, I don't want this anymore. It's too hard for me to keep going and pretending and going through the motions and stuff. Who knows?
I've got two thoughts on this. One is that when you get to menopause, and it's something that I'm heading towards, if you don't know the implications of it, if you have lived your life in a highly stressed out way, and then all of a sudden you are in it, you will not know how to communicate what you need, because you don't know what you need. You don't know what's really going on. You don't know much about your body, with the greatest of respect. All of these changes are occurring inside of you, and you have no communication. It's almost like having to speak another language, isn't it?
Yeah.
How then is someone that you've been with for a long time able to understand what you don't know? So that's just one thing. And this is why I feel it's so important to learn to remember what female health actually is, so that you can communicate more effectively. Now, if that partner doesn't listen after you have communicated effectively, then divorce is arse. No,
yeah. I tell you something, I did something last week, which I can't talk about just yet. And there was a couple there. They'd been married 45 years. Bless them. Bless them. He was adorable. You could tell he just adored them. But their marriage hit the rocks during when she was going through the menopause, because she didn't know what was going on. He didn't know what was going on. He didn't know how to help her. So I think what you've just said is quite pertinent. It's hence the whole menopause awareness. Learn what's going on with your body. Know what it is. Like, younger women track their periods, so they know what's going on. I knew when I tracked my periods, I like clockwork. There were definite stages in the month that things happened to me. And that was from, oh my God, I'm really grumpy, or I'm really emotional. Okay. My period's going to start soon. Oh, I've got spots. My period's definitely coming. 2 days before my period, I had the worst night's sleep. I couldn't sleep, tossing and turning. Period starts. So I go through that kind of period starts, relief. Oh my God, I'm really tired. It's fine. Week later, I'm like, buzzing, life is good. Let's clean this flat. Come on, baby. And then
the lycra comes out. Woo!
Come on, baby. And then a couple of days after that, I want sex. Now I want sex. Okay? I'm feeling a little bit horny. I want sex. And then my egg releases. And do you know what I mean? So I could see all those stages, the jelly, the egg releases. I knew my body. And that's why, for me, doing what I do, I want women to know about the menopause. This is how it can affect you. These are the things to look out for. And as with my period, I learned to manage it. I knew what I had to do. I knew what was coming. And also a bit of an acceptance of these are the things that are happening to me. And I think it is so important for women to know about their bodies and how it impacts them in their daily life. I work out, you know this, Abby, and I was blown away, slightly a little bit like, oh, when my trainer said to me when I first started training with him, and I was having a really shit training session, and he went, where are you in your period? Where in your cycle? And I was like, what the fuck? What do you mean you're asking me that question? No. And he went, this is going to have an effect on how you train. Where are you in your period? And he was quite normal about it. And I now love him for that because it's true. And he's been aware of his clients that he trains, their bodies. I'm training a woman, she's having a period, she's going to be a bit shit at certain points in the month. And it's just, and that awareness needs to be across the board. That is really a unique experience because that just doesn't happen. And I think I might have said to you, I get so excited when I see men in the supermarket or in the chemist and they've got a box of tampon or a box of towels in there. And I'm like, oh, it's good because it's normal. You're just getting it for your girlfriend. She's just gone, pick me up a box of tampons. Or she's at home feeling really poorly. You said, oh, can you get me some tampons? Do you know what I mean? These things should be normalized, and women need to learn more about their bodies and normalize these points in their life.
And it only happens by going through the uncomfortableness.
Yes.
You know, this is something that 2023 is going to offer us, is just understanding that uncomfortable, what makes you uncomfortable about your health, and then finding the approaches to move you through that, because it's just a feeling. It is just a feeling.
It is just a feeling, Abby. I've said this before, and I think people take it quite lightly. Like when I signed up to start weight training, I have never been so petrified in my life. I was walking into a studio as a 50-odd-year-old woman and going, I'd like to sign up to your studio. And because they were so nice, it made it easier. But I literally, you have to believe it took me 6 months to work up the courage to walk in there. 6 months. I knew I had to do it. I knew I was overweight. I knew I had to do some kind of exercise, but I was scared. There was a massive fear to doing something which was so uncomfortable for me. So was going to be so new, so different. And I was really scared. And I think you're right. It is uncomfortable feeling that fear because we all want to stay in that comfortable area that we know. And I say this often, one of the things for me personally, actually starting my 9 to 5 menopause is me just taking a massive jump out of my comfort zone. At the time I was seeing a therapist and I was talking it through with her. And I said, oh, I want to do something around the menopause. I think it should be highlighted. No one's talking about it, as in no Black women, no one who had a job. I said, I really want to do something. And I think I spoke to her for a good year about it before I was like, okay, World Menopause Day is coming up. I'm going to do an Instagram account. I'm going to launch it. And I was so scared because I'm opening myself up. It's a fear of stepping into the unknown. And I now realize how good that was for me. It was good for me to share my experiences and my story because it helped me conquer a fear.
Well, this is the beauty of weight training. I think it's almost like a metaphor for life, because when you have to lift something that challenges you, you have to accept what you're capable of in that one moment. And that's something that strength training has educated and taught me on. Movement in general has been the greatest therapy, life enhancer I have ever experienced. So yeah. Right, let's have a look at the next article, which is gender differences. In this study, she studied gender differences in the consequences of divorce by tracing annual change in 20 outcome measures covering 4 domains: economic, housing, and domestic health and well-being and social. And this was based in Germany, okay? But her findings, it's again a very big article, is returning to the opening question of this article. My findings suggest that the prevailing view of women bearing a high burden of divorce is supported when looking at medium-term consequences for a large set of outcome measures, including those on which men were previously found to be disadvantaged. Taking economic, housing, and domestic health and well-being and social outcomes into account, men were more vulnerable to short-term effects on subjective measures of well-being, but women experienced medium-term disadvantages in objective economic status. In other words, men's disproportionate psychological strain was transient, whereas women's disproportionate economic strain was chronic.
Shit.
I mean, wow. So the summary on the academic article is interesting. In the short term, men suffer more on well-being markers. In the medium term, no significant difference between genders on any markers, but in the longer term, there are large and persistent gender differences on financial markers. Taken together, these findings suggest men's disproportionate strain of divorce is transient, whereas women's is chronic. Yeah. I mean, the research says it for itself. And we've looked at UK, Germany, and America, and they're pretty much all saying the same thing, aren't they? And it all comes down to money. And the fact
down to money, but that's a history that even today is still prevalent. The man is the dominant one in terms of finances and stuff. And yes, there are more women who are higher earners, but they're still in the minority. And it's funny, like with the George Floyd thing, there was a massive push to get more females, more diversity onto boards, and to give them the opportunity to achieve to be a high earner. But I think that's stalled a little bit. The whole focus of, right, we need more women on our board, we need more women on our executive team, that's definitely stalled. And it's like it all flared up, just like, oh, we've got to do this, we've got to be seen to support women, we've got to be seen to, like, oh, we're this company that have equal ops across the board and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, that chat has died down a bit now, hasn't it?
Well, we're being pulled. So you got to look at the distractions, haven't you? What distractions are being put out there in the media? And
what, Meghan and Harry? It's like, what the fuck? Seriously? I can't eat. I'm scared to put the heating on. But hey, Meghan and Harry did a documentary. Knock yourselves out.
I would say that would be next week's chat, but we're not here.
We'll do that in the new year. Let's see what comes out over the Christmas period.
We won't make a definite date on that one.
Yeah.
But just to wrap this up, again, we want to hear your views. We want to hear how you feel. Like I said, we've covered Germany, UK, and America. Anyone from any of those countries, any country, we'd love to hear. Do you feel this is true? Do you feel this is accurate? Yeah. What are your views? Because like I said, my personal view was from a working class background where my mum and dad separated. It wasn't pretty. My mum walked away with nothing. And yeah, it just echoed through. I mean, what I learned from that, interestingly, when I look at, all of the work that I've put into healing my past and getting my brain back in a more enlightened state, is that there wasn't enough out there for me. She walked away with nothing. She did that. There's not enough out there. The psychological impact of that was phenomenal. And it's something that I've had to really work on. So like you said about the children, saying this again, are you a child of divorce? What are your views, especially when it comes to financial status? Like, what is it?
That's really interesting, your experience and how it shaped your thought process. My mum brought up 4 children on her own. I'm the oldest of 4 kids. We were loved and we were fed and we were clothed, but I saw my mum struggle. And I went completely the other way. I left school at 16, bang, straight into a job. Didn't really like school that much anyway, but I went straight into a job because I wanted money in my pocket. And I think that's actually always been a driver for me. Always supported myself, being able to support myself and have my own cash in my pocket. So I could go and buy whatever clothing I want. I could book a holiday and go on holiday and not have to worry. So that's how my mum's own experience and what she had to do to survive, because she had 2-3 jobs at one point, to make sure we were looked after properly. It drove me to ensure I always had money in my pocket. And even when I'm in between jobs, I get quite twitchy. I'm just like, nah. I'm like, I need to know where my income is coming in. I need to know I've got money coming in.
I had the benefit. Well, my mum and my grandmother were very strong women, but I never forget my nan from a very young age. You know, we'd be my mum and nan would be talking in the kitchen, and my mum would talk of fairy tales. And my nan would go, "Never marry for love, marry for money."
I love your nan.
And then she said, "But always make sure you've got your own money."
Yeah.
And that kind of always echoed in my head, a bit like you, Faye. You know, I just left school. I went to work for the family business. It was just having money in your pocket all the time, the time, that money in your pocket and the freedom that gave you. But back in the day, Faye, I remember when 30 quid lasted a month. I mean, Christ.
Mate, don't you remember being able to go in the shop and buy sweets? Like a marathon bar was 10p. Let's keep it real. It was 10p. 10p, maybe less. So like those days are gone. I went out last night. I said to Abby before the start of the show, I'm a little bit hungover.
Look what gel does when you rub it on.
You missed the prep before the show, guys. Can believe it was whiz. I'm here. Anyway, so I went out last night and it's expensive. We had 2 courses each, a couple of bottles of wine, and it came to £65 each. I mean, I'm glad to pay it. I went out, had a nice time, and I can afford it. But that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
And if you're divorced and you want to be going anywhere, absolutely.
You're getting the girls round to your house. Bring a bottle.
And on that note, listen, wonderful humans, have a lovely Christmas.
Yes.
Take it easy. If you are going through divorce, I'll put some links below for support networks that you can reach out to, because always remember, you are not alone. You know, you don't have to be alone. And Christmas can bring up a lot of those emotions, can't it? So me and Faye will be adding any links below for you to tune into if you so wish. But we do really send you all of our love for this time of year. And if you need a chat, again, get in contact with myself or Faye. We would love to hear from you. But we'll see you next year.
Definitely. And the one thing I want to just add to that is just remember that you matter. And though you might be feeling broken at this moment in time, you do matter, and we all go through bad times. And one thing I've realized this year is I'm on a bit of a good roll, but I'm well aware previously it's been pretty shit, but you always come out the other side, and you come out better and you come out stronger. And yeah, just remember that you matter. You're okay. You're doing all right.
Nice one. Cheers, Faye. We'll see you in the new year, gorgeous people. Take it easy.
See you later. Bye.